I try and make it as relevant as possible. And obviously my principal market, as you probably know, is technology businesses. But I think market research is relevant whatever you do, frankly, because I think if we go to that target to the left-hand corner of your screen, hopefully, the who in the middle is who you're selling to. Your market is something that I don't think we can ever know enough about. And I think market research just helps you to get a little bit closer to understanding who it is you're selling to, exactly what their obsessions are, what are the insights they're looking for, what are they missing in terms of knowledge, and then using market research in essence to try and fill some of those gaps and put you in a position of expertise and thought leadership, and put you on a level with them to have that kind of, top level conversation. So that's really the basis for what we're going to chat about for 10 minutes and then beyond to take your questions. So start with the who, and it's amazing how many businesses don't actually know who they're trying to communicate with, what their primary audience is. So half the battle is to understand, what's the first line audience, what's that actual person you're trying to reach. Once you've understood that, you can begin to understand what you don't know about them, and you might find the best way of finding out more about them is to simply get out there and ask some questions. So really, why are we doing this? We're doing it for deeper engagement with those audiences. We're probably ultimately looking to close some sales, but we're also looking to build up our attention, to explain to people that we understand what they're going through, we're on their level, and we intrinsically have products, services, and expertise to support them. So that's in essence why I got into market research, really, was to try and close the gap between the company and its propositions and services and products and the people that they were trying to sell to. So that's where it started about 20 years ago, and I must admit I've been using it ever since, because I think without fail it works. So we'll just go into a little bit of detail now we've understood a bit about why we're doing it. How do we do it? I mean, when I started doing market research, it was quite simply, I would be with a client who would be at a show, at an exhibition, and I would stand there with a clipboard. So this is before the era where everything went digital. And I would ask, as many people as I could who were anywhere near their stand, could you answer a few questions? And it was normally 10 questions. Kept it as simple as we could, but out of that I was able to get some insights which I could hand back to their sales and business development people, so they could understand what sorts of businesses they really need to be approaching and what sorts of topics they need to be talking about. And then for my part, I went away and created some press releases to get some media coverage based on the findings from those very simple studies. I mean, you can do the same here in Zoom. There's a poll facility right here in Zoom, and most of the collaborative platforms we've all been using for the last 2 years. So you can gather research every which way, so that there's never really a reason not to do it. Obviously, you can scale it right up to doing full size. I do for some of my clients, 1,000 or even 2,000 sample consumer studies where you're looking in depth at, take for example, Generation X retirement planning, what they're planning to do. So I'm working for a pensions technology firm. They were looking for some more insights on the next generation of retirees who are retiring over the next 20 years. we can go to a market research house and we can literally get 1,000 or 2,000 of that group. We can put 15 questions or more to them to properly understand what's going on, what level of savings they've got, learn a lot more about that, package that up for the media. So that's national media, trade media, all the rest of it, get fantastic amounts of coverage for them, package all that together into a management report, which again, their customer base and prospect base are interested in, because they're trying to sell to those consumers. They're offering pension products, investment products, etc. So that sort of insight is something that their prospect, the technology providers' prospects are interested in. So therefore, you have an instant discussion and engagement potential from that sort of study for that fintech I'm working for. But I think it can be applied to anything. I mean, I was looking at Daryl, I don't know whether he's here, but he's been doing talks to assist companies in hybrid working planning, which obviously a lot of big businesses are now planning, to try and encourage people to come back to the office 2 to 3 times a week, etc. And he's been leading that discussion and helping companies with that transition. He could be doing some market research on hybrid working trends, what people are doing in specific markets, and he could be using that to secure a new business. And also, frankly, when he's speaking, he could be talking with greater authority through a piece of market research he's done. Or simply, as the Warrens we discussed before we started this session, it could be desk research. You could be simply just probing what competitors are doing or talking about before you go and speak to a prospect who is a competitor, who's a competitor in that market. So there are lots of different ways of approaching market research. I think it's just the principle of seeing the value of it to get closer to your markets. And also recognizing that you can use it to expand your markets. So for technology firms, I'm very often helping them to break into new sub-markets or entirely new markets, education, retail, transport, whatever particular market they're looking at next. Market research is a great way of giving you not instant, but pretty quick brand authority. You clearly understand the space because you've done this study, you've taken the time to do the work. So that's how we do it. And the final one is what happens in it and what can be built from it. And I think it's fair to say what I try to do now is think in terms of the whole campaign. So once you've done the market research and you've extracted those insights, use them, put them to work in multiple different ways. So you can use them, obviously to get media coverage is one route. Use them to create a management report or an executive summary. Use them as the basis for a webinar, for example. Certainly package them up into what I call premium content, so, a report, which can sit as perhaps as a gated piece on your website. People will leave their contact details there in order to download the guide if they're interested. That could feed through. You could invite them through to a webinar that's linked on that same topic. So this is the sort of stuff that I'm doing for technology firms all the time now. And I don't think there's any reason why, one-man band operations could not be doing this, building the same sorts of content-led journeys, through their websites, through landing pages, all the great stuff that we've learned from Warren Knight about how to build those digital content journeys. So I just, my final plea really is to put market research right in the middle of building those content journeys, because I think they add power, they add depth, and they definitely help get you attention and engagement from the audiences that you've chosen to focus your firepower on. So that is it roughly.